to my dear children, Bob and Jane. I am writing this so in case of my death, there will be no misunderstanding regarding my properties. As you know, Jake Ballard's father and I were the closest of friends. After his death, I took his son to raise. I owe John Ballard the credit for all of my success. Therefore, I feel that I am only doing what is right when I ask my two children to share with Jake all of my properties, money, and holdings. This is the way I want it to be, and I hope there will be no objections. With deep love and affection, your father, Jim Fletcher.
Bob, I don't know what to say to you and Miss Jane. I had no idea that was what the letter was about.
It's all right, Jake. That was the way Dad wanted it. That's the way it'll be.
That's right, Jake. I'm sure Dad knew it was best.
Folks, this is kind of a personal thing between the three of you, so I reckon we could be excused now.
Sure, that's all right, boys. And thanks for staying.
Now, I'm telling you, there's something powerful wrong about the whole thing, especially this Jake Ballard.
It don't make sense to me.
The old man must have written that note, all right. Otherwise, Bob and Jane could have told.
Well, if you ask me, that's a funny way to leave a will.
Yeah, come to think of it, it is. Especially for a big layout like this.
Oh, here comes Bob now.
Well, boys, how's things going?
Fine, Bob. I guess you, Miss Jane, and Ballard have come to an agreement on how you'll operate from here on.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to have Lawyer Simpson put everything in legal form.
This is going to mean quite a lot to Jake, isn't it?
Third interest in $250,000 worth of property and money and stock.
That was mighty nice of your dad.
I can't quite understand it. But I reckon it's all right if he wanted it that way.
By the way, who is this Lawyer Simpson?
He handled all of Dad's business and legal affairs for him. He offices over at the county seat.
I was just wondering. Oh, by the way, you mind if we go into town this afternoon? Thought we'd like to stretch our legs a bit.
No, it's quite all right. You've gone through enough with us the past few days. Go out and have yourself a good time.
Mr. Willing, I'll expect you boys to keep this matter very confidential. It's highly irregular to show you such a document as this, but under the circumstances, I feel that I'm doing the Fletcher heirs a mighty big favor.
You can trust us, Mr. Simpson.
Now, what do you suggest?
When you call on Bob and Jane tomorrow, insist that Jake Ballard be present. Also insist that we're present as witnesses. Leave the rest to us.
Well and good. I'll see you two tomorrow afternoon.
Right.
I'm glad you came out, Mr. Simpson.
Yeah.
There's some legal work we wanted you to prepare for us to carry out the wishes Dad left in this letter to us.
Well, we'll get around to that after we discuss some other matters.
Here comes Floyd with Ballard now.
I'm glad you asked that Jake be present. After all, he is our partner in business now.
Well, howdy, Lawyer Simpson. How are you?
Oh, fine, Jake, fine. I'm glad you're present because there are a few things regarding Mr. Fletcher's estate that we should all understand.
Oh, sure, certainly. Of course, you know how, I feel awful grateful for what Dad Fletcher did for me, Lawyer Simpson.
Naturally. Mr. Willing.
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you and Mr. Sloy and Mr. Dean to serve as witnesses to this meeting and the things that transpire.
Glad to be of help, Mr. Simpson.
Jake, I have examined the letter left in your care by the deceased, and apparently it's genuine.
You know, I can't help feeling, Mr. Simpson, that Dad Fletcher, he was a little too liberal toward me. But, of course, if it was his wish, then it makes me mighty happy.
Well, I have here the last will and testament of the deceased, which I will read at this time.
The will? I didn't even know Dad had made a will.
Neither did I. We had discussed it with him many times, and, he always told us that such a thing was unnecessary, since Bob and I were his only heirs.
Well, just when was this will made, Mr. Simpson?
About 6 months ago, Jake, and on my insistence, since he had decided to include you in the estate.
But I don't understand why...
If you don't mind, Jake, we'll explain everything after I read the will. It's short and is as follows. I, James Fletcher, being of sound mind, do hereby bequeath 1/2 of all my earthly holdings and possessions to my daughter Jane and my son Robert. I hope my children will understand my liberal attitude as I provide for Jake Ballard, the son of my good friend and partner, John Ballard, deceased. All my success and wealth I owe to the kindness of John Ballard. And I feel justified in having Jake Ballard share my earthly properties, holdings, and money. Therefore, I bequeath to him 1/2 of said properties.
1/2?
Hey, this doesn't make sense.
Bob, it makes mighty good sense.
I agree with Mr. Willing.
But why did he write that letter? Since the will was made out leaving 1/2 to Jake instead of 1/3.
Get Jake to tell you why he wrote the letter.
Why are you driving at there?
You know, Jake.
I'm in the dark about this thing, just as the rest of you are.
Tell him, Jake.
Now, look here.
Then I'll tell him. The late Jim Fletcher trapped his own killer.
I don't understand, Foy.
Let Jake tell you. He killed your father.
You're a liar.
Don't reach for that gun.
All right, Jake. Now take it easy. If you try anything else, you're going to get more than just a slug in your hand.
I'm afraid there's some explaining to do here.
All right, Bob. Jake forced your father to write that letter at the point of a gun. Your father made it look good, knowing that when the real will came to light, it would throw the blame on Jake. He then faked an ambush, killing after having shot your father in the back. It's too bad, Jake, that you didn't wait, because Jim Fletcher was even more liberal than you forced him to be.
Well, I reckon you'll be bragging for the next 6 months how you tracked down old Jake Ballard.
Yeah, I reckon it will.
Boy Willing, the great cowboy detective.
All right. You guys don't have to rub it in.
Well, I don't understand why you wanted to leave the Fletcher place. We could have had a job there as long as we wanted it.
A job? Who wants a
Well,
job?
I'd been satisfied just hanging around Jane Fletcher myself.
Oh, but that wouldn't have made her too happy, I'm afraid.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Well, anyway, we've got over $100 in our jeans. Where we head for?
Well, I hear there's a big rodeo next month over at Carson City.
Well, we're heading in that direction. Let's go.
Let's go.
Drifting along, singing a song.
Heard with the riders of the Purple Sage in today's story were Mr. Joe Granby as Lawyer Simpson, Miss Helen Gerald as Janie, Howard Culver as Bob. Your announcer was the killer, Jake Ballard. Now here is Foy Willing and the boys to bring you another of their Western heart songs. The new and popular love ballad entitled The Leaf of Love.
The leaf of love is slowly falling like winter's storm with rain and snow. You broke a heart in one short moment. The leaf of love is falling low.
I'll never forget at our first meeting. Maybe it was meant to be. I didn't think you'd prove false-hearted and kill the soul inside of me.
My stormy road I'm traveling on now, where I will end God only knows. A beaten rock along the river is quiet and peaceful where it flows. The leaf of love is slowly falling like winter's storm with rain and snow. You broke a heart in one short moment. The leaf of love is falling low.
Well, now suppose we call on the great cowboy detective himself to tell you what the riders of the Purple Sage are going to sing next.
All right, you guys can stop that cowboy detective stuff.
Okay, Sherlock, we won't say another word about it.
Well, I expect we'd better get back to Western music and song.
Here's one, Cotton, we hope will please the folks. It's an old-timer called the Train Whistle Blues.
Well, all aboard. We're listening. Let's go, boys.
When a woman gets the blues, she hangs her little head and she cries. When a woman gets the blues, she hangs her little head and cries. When a man gets the blues, he grabs the first train and flies.
time I see that lonesome railroad train. Every time I see that lonesome railroad train, it makes me wish I was going home again. Look yonder, coming down the railroad track, coming back. Look yonder, coming down the railroad track. With the black smoke rolling from that old smokestack.
It used to be that the great cattle kingdoms covered vast areas of unfenced rangeland, and a cattleman's closest neighbor might be 50 miles away. Little wonder that strangers riding by were heartily welcomed and provided with food and shelter as a matter of course. That was the beginning of the traditional Western hospitality. For the hostess who serves Weber's bread is certain that her guests and family alike will enjoy its freshness and distinctive flavor. As toast for breakfast, sandwiches for lunch, or in between snacks, and when served with more elaborate meals, Weber's bread is always an enjoyable, substantial item on the menu. Buy Weber's bread when you go shopping. You'll find it on your grocer's shelves, the really good bread in the blue gingham wrapper.
A song of the West depicting a cowboy's religion comes your way now from the Riders of the Purple Sage as they blend their fine Western voices to sing Cowboy's Heaven.
Tonight I'm a tired, weary cowboy. I've been in the saddle all day, searching the hills and the valleys for cattle that strayed away. Oh, pain is tired and leg weary. His feet are broken and torn. But someday our work will be over, and we'll ride on that other shore. Laying wrapped up in my blanket, looking straight up in the sky, watching the white clouds sailing away up there on high. The stars are shining in heaven. It seems that they understand. They may be the souls of cowpunchers who have gone to that promised land.
Folks, this is Foy Willing again. It's been mighty nice keeping company with you today. And we hope you'll all be on hand next week. Until then, from Al Sloey, Jimmy Dean, myself, and all of the Riders of the Purple Sage, so long and good luck to you all.
From Hollywood, you have heard your all-star Western theater. A V.M. Bear production starring America's great Western singers, Foy Willing and the Riders of the Purple Sage. My name is Cottonseed Clark.
This program came to you from Columbia Square.
KNX Los Angeles, the voice of Hollywood.